beige uniforms have sent different messages to people throughout Kenya's history. While nowadays the message is more or less the government is only a few steps away no matter where you are, for many years the message was the government is in control. It began at the birth of the Kenya colony when the colonial government, fearing an uprising by the natives over unpopular policies favoring settlers, installed the tribal police and a system of chiefs, district officers and provincial commissioners. Dressed in beige shirts and shorts, these men were the colonial government's ears on the ground. They were not only there to collect taxes, enforce communal punishment and extract forced labor, but also to remind the natives who was in charge.
They took, over the years, the format of the French prefectorial system, a prefect. And a prefect is the center of government.
The provincial administration was used increasingly for purposes of control and restricting citizens' rights.
No surprise then that the Mau Mau's first blow at the colonial government was the killing of a senior chief, leading to the declaration of emergency. After independence, founding President Jomo Kenyatta did not want to dismantle this machinery of governance despite its oppressive nature. The country's first president knew very well that Kenya's diverse population, which had just had its first taste of freedom, needed to be controlled, and who better to do it than the provincial administration?
Provincial administration plays a very central role in linking the central government and the regional and the regions, so to say. That's why they're also called field administrators.
Provincial administration comprises of, from the bottom up, sub-chiefs and chiefs who had direct contact with the people and solved disputes among them. Then there are district officers, district commissioners, provincial officers and provincial commissioners who were in charge of ensuring the smooth running of government projects at their respective levels.
Provincial administration was inherited intact during the decolonization process. Throughout independence, there were never significant changes effected on the provincial administration.
You needed somebody who was kind of a specialist, who will be able to represent central government policies.
From the fight for independence to the fight for political power, while Kenyatta used the provincial administration to control communities still unused to the idea of nationhood, it was the KANU regime that perfected the use of this body's oppressive potential. In many people's minds, administrators of the Nyayo era were linked with forced harambes, activism on behalf of the ruling party. A key low point was the KANU nominations ahead of the 1988 general elections, where the mlolongo or queuing system of voting was deployed, and guess who controlled polls at the grassroots level?
Provincial administration.
1988, it had incidences of a lot of stupidity, the way it was conducted.
The chief, the DO, the DC and the PC have had a bad name because of the behavior of the governance structure.
They are officers of government. They do what government wants them to do.
Even a victory in the fight for a return to multi-party politics could not stop the government from manipulating the provincial administration up until 2002, when things began to change, but not necessarily for the better. From this year on, instead of being politicized, the provincial administration was instead ethnicized.
Remember, we have been practicing politics of marginalization and politics of exclusion. And of course, provincial administration as an instrument of repression and as an instrument of law and order has been serving political purposes.
But according to political analysts, the face of provincial administration has changed over time and now can be held accountable. The proposed constitution plans to change the system, moving much of it away from central government to play different roles under the county system. Former provincial officers say these changes are a big mistake.
It doesn't matter how it started. Up to now, a century old, it is there. You remove it, you create that vacuum at your peril.
The role basically is one of coordination of government services.
Currently, there is no clause in the constitution that speaks on provincial administration. It is one of the offices the president has the jurisdiction to create to help in better governance.
If there will be executive work to be done, because we are going to have executive officers, certainly there will be turned to that responsibility of executing policies at the county level.
For something that was meant for oppression, provincial administration has gained strides to gain a human face. And even as the government promises not to completely eradicate the institution if the draft constitution is passed, one thing is clear, is that there has to be a complete political paradigm shift in order for the merits of provincial or regional administration to outweigh the demerits. Catherine Omwando, KTN in Nairobi.